My name's Melissa, and I'm an adult literacy teacher at the Borough of Manhattan Community College. So today's workshop really took kind of a closer look at the grammar section on the writing portion of the task exam, and really kind of looking at the type of mechanics that students need to familiarize themselves with in order to perform well on the test. And so since there's a lot of grammar, we did a lot of work around looking at certain types of grammar structures, particularly those that entail sentence combining, like coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, parallel structure, and different uses of the comma.
I'm sorry, subordinating conjunction.
Okay, so we're going to start out with a simple sentence. The simple sentence is,
I went to the mall.
they didn't hear you.
I went to the mall.
I went to the mall was a simple sentence. And so now we want to use, in order to use subordinating conjunctions, we need an independent clause as well as a dependent clause. You want to tell them? So to add these.
When, after, before.
So if you add those words, you will put the words before either when I went to the mall, it makes it an independent clause. Makes it a dependent clause. After I went to the mall, dependent clause. Before I went to the mall. So we want to combine the sentences.
So when you're using subordinating conjunction words like when, after, before, although, as, until, if, because, if they're at the beginning of the sentence, those are going to create a dependent clause, right? When you're dependent on something, what does that mean? You need help, right? So that first part of the sentence, when I went to the mall, we don't know what happens when you went to the mall. It needs some help. It needs an independent clause to make it complete. So by adding I bought tacos, it tells me what happens either when, after, or before I went to the mall. And that creates a complete thought.
There you go.
Okay.
So a woobus is something that our teacher thought up that she uses in her grammar lesson. And these are the dependent clause words, like we have 3 here. And the others are,
So I use the acronym AWUBIS with my students to help them remember the most commonly used subordinating conjunctions. And I put a little wolf there so we all say it as a class. It helps them remember it. AWUBIS. Let me hear you say it.
woobus.
Right? And those stand for as, after, although, when, while, until, before, because, if, and since. So they know if any of these words are at the beginning of their sentence, they're going to have a dependent clause. That means that part of the sentence needs something else to make it complete.
Yay.
Questions?
I have a statement. What happens if the dependent clause comes last in the sentence?
That's a great question. So if we were to switch the independent clause and the dependent clause, it would actually get rid of your comma. So if the independent clause comes first, I bought tacos when I went to the mall, you no longer need the comma in the middle of your sentence.
And so you can reverse that for your next lesson.
Let me ask one question because this is what I found. That's the same, when the dependent clause comes first and you have the comma. They have another rule about an introductory phrase or introductory clause or introductory phrase. So that falls in the same kind of okay.
I try not to teach them together
Yeah.
just so that students can grasp one concept before they start to bring in other things. I mean, like you're teaching a positives is kind of the same thing, right? Gathering her stuff, that's going to force a comma. You know, she stormed out of the room. There's my independent clause. So I think sometimes it gets confusing for students to kind of grasp all those grammar concepts at the same time. So I try to teach one at a time. I might teach apositives after this because they have a sense now of sentence structure in terms of clauses.
Right. So thank you very much for saying that. I think that is always.
And so in today's session, we worked a lot around sentence combining, which is really a big component of the writing section of the task. And so we did some really cool exercises where we kind of broke off into our groups with other teachers and kind of looked at different grammar structures and issues in grammar and kind of shared with each other kind of how we go about teaching them. I had the task of sharing with my group on how to combine sentences using subordinating conjunctions. So I use a term with my students called AWUBIS, and it's really an acronym that is comprised of the most commonly used subordinating conjunctions. So as, although, after, because, before, if, since, those types of words. And so I'm always trying to find ways to help students remember things in different ways. And so I find the use of acronyms really helpful. AWUBIS in particular, because students have never heard the phrase before, and so it's often something that will stick out in their mind. And so we worked on using my AWUBIS idea to work on creating a group activity that we could do in our classrooms with our students in order to teach them how to use subordinating conjunctions to create dependent clauses. And really, that's an aspect of sentence combining that they need to know, how to take a dependent and independent clauses using a subordinating conjunction to create a complex sentence.